have it.
Okay, so today we're going to be talking about networking. So, in order to
Yeah.
start, we need to talk about what networking actually is. Um, do you know what it is?
I'm I'm not very sure.
Okay, so networking is for like a lot of people that don't have a job or they're looking for a better job. Um,
Mhm.
so networking is basically the thrill of speaking with other people, trying
Mhm.
to find connections that will bring you forward in the job world. So
Mhm.
it's like me meeting other employers so they could point me on where to go. So if I meet
Mhm.
someone, they might be like, "Oh, go to this person." Like, "Oh, I met this person." So it's meeting people that'll help you get a job in the long run. All right.
Mhm.
So to get started, let's talk about the warm up. So how would you start a conversation at a networking event? So there's events that all these companies go to in this one room, and you, the person without a job, walks to all the tents and they ask them around. So how would you start a conversation there?
Maybe just to say hello.
Yep.
Uh, and I'm not very sure.
So you might introduce yourself like, "Hi, my name is Matt. I work for Word Tango right now, but I am looking for a better job. I'm looking for a job that pays me more." You could say, "I'm looking for a constant job, a job I can rely on," anything like that. Um,
Mhm.
you could talk about how's the event going. Like, "Oh, it's really great. I met a lot of different people." So anything like that.
Mhm. Okay. I got you.
Okay, let's go on to the next page. So, um, when you meet these people, these
Mhm.
companies, so maybe you'll
Mhm.
meet like the boss or something. You might
Uh
ask,
huh.
"What do you do?"
Okay. Sorry. 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 Okay. Okay. We can continue now.
Okay. You might ask, so you might ask the employer, "What do you do?" And
Mhm.
then, so you're an English teacher, right?
Yeah.
So you might ask the employer like maybe the employer is like a principal, a school principal. So you might
Mhm.
ask, "What do you do?" And they'll be like, "Oh, I'm a school principal at the middle school, and I basically meet with parents and students every day and talk about their progress." Um, and then you might say, "Oh, I like working at this company because it's a lot of fun dealing with kids." Uh, and then you might say, like, "What's a normal day like?" Um, they might be like, "Oh, like I go through the day, like going through appointments, meeting with students, meeting with parents,
Mhm.
making phone calls." So that's like a normal day for a principal. Um, so we have some useful expressions in the bottom. We have "I am a teacher," occupation, your job, uh, at the middle school, and I do.
Mhm.
So why don't you try to introduce yourself to me?
Okay. Okay. Uh, I am a I am an English teacher at Women International School.
Nice. And why do you like working at We Me International School?
Um, because the school here is very big and beautiful, and the students here are excellent, and also the payment is very good.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
When you're talking about pay from a job, maybe like you're talking about the salary is really good.
Salary. Okay, thank you.
Yep. Salary is like what you make a year. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I might ask, what's a normal day like at the middle school?
Hmm. I have to I have to get up very early every morning to watch my students do morning exercises, and I have to give them English lessons, and I have to check check their homework every day. And sometimes I need to call their parents to communicate with their parents, and also sometimes I need to talk with the students themselves.
Yeah, good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's move on to the next slide. So,
Mm-hmm.
at this networking event where there's all these job employers, right? Because pretend we don't have a job, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
you might ask them, "What do you think about this event?" So, in the United States, we have a government shutdown going on sometimes. It's where the government shuts down a lot of operations. So you maybe you'll ask the employer, "What do you think of it?" They'd be like, "Oh, I hate it." Like, "Oh, I've been out of a job." Like, something like that. Then the second question is, what is one thing you might take away from this event? What is one thing you might learn from the event? So this is like, oh, I learned that being a teacher is really hard. Being a teacher is like, you have a lot of appointments. Being a
Mm-hmm.
teacher, you have a lot of teachers, a lot of parents to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they might ask, how did you hear about the event? Oh, I found out through the internet. I found out through the catalog on the online.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's go on to the next one.
Okay.
Um, so this is more talking about current events. So what is your take on? It's more like small talk.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what small talk is?
Small talk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like to fill in the time. Yeah. So like, what is your take on the recent events? How do you like the weather? Do you have any advice on place to eat? Did you see this team play?
Sorry, sorry.
Did you see
I'm
this?
not very
Go ahead.
I'm not very clear about your question.
These are just some general questions that you might ask them.
Mm,
So maybe did they see some sports team play on the TV?
mm-hmm.
Okay, let's go on to the next one. So this is where you talk about yourself. So you talk about
Yeah,
your
I'm
position.
sorry. I'm sorry. I hear some noise.
Oh, sorry. Um, so this is where you would talk about yourself. You talk about your position at the school. What do you love about it? So why don't you talk about yourself?
What do I love my school?
Yeah.
Um, Firstly, I like my students. They are really very lovely.
Tell me about your position there.
What?
Tell me about your job there.
Mm, my my job is to giving English lessons, to teach them English words, sentences, and grammar. and I have to help them to pass a very important exam, high school entrance examination.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and what do you love about work?
I really love my work.
Like, why?
I love teaching. I love children.
Yeah. Um, and then maybe we'll talk about more about yourself. So, what's your favorite holiday?
My favorite holiday, maybe Spring Festival.
And
It's the most traditional festival in China, and I have a very long holiday during this festival.
oh, that's good. Uh,
Hmm.
and what about your favorite food?
My favorite food, maybe uh, I love vegetables and the fruits.
Oh, that's healthy. That's healthy. That's good. Um, and do you have any interesting hobbies?
Interesting, interesting what?
Hobbies?
Harvest? What's harvest mean?
Hobbies
What
are
does
things you do in your free time.
Oh, okay, I know. I love shopping.
Yep, shopping's fun.
Yeah.
Um, other other things you might do at the event. Um,
Mm,
maybe give a compliment. So you'd be like, "Oh, I really love your jacket. Where did you get it?" Maybe you would say, "Oh, that's interesting. Can you tell me more?" Maybe the job employer might be like, "Oh, that's so organized, clean, and prepared. What's your secret?" Or you might just compliment them on their work, like, "Oh, I really love your work." Um,
mm-hmm.
and then the and then you might want to find commonalities, which means finding similarities between you and this new employer. They would be like, "Oh, I came to the same conclusion. Oh, you're from this city too. What part?" "Oh, I've always wanted to go to that city. I've always wanted to go to Shanghai." "Oh, you're from Shanghai." Um, "I have a degree in education as well. From which school?" So it's a good idea to find similarities with your employers so they like you better.
Uh-huh.
And just some questions for you, which are just
Okay.
are you smiling? Have you learned the other person's name? These are just things that you should be thinking about. Um,
Mm-hmm.
do you have an open stance? Um, are you maintaining eye contact?
Oh. Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's go on to the comprehension.
Okay.
So just read out the sentence and then tell me the answer.
Yeah. Why were they arguing? Um, A. Unmanling.
Um, when you argue, it's arguing about something. So it's actually B. They were
Okay.
arguing about money.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Two. How many chips are there?
Yeah, nice job.
A. Mm-hmm. Three. They blamed me for losing the game.
For losing the game. Yep.
4. He living.
Yep.
5. We laughed at the joke. D.
Yep, you laugh at something.
Yeah. And um, this apple is better than that apple. C.
Better than. Yeah, nice job.
Mm,
Okay, now for the discussion. So, have you ever been to one of these events?
Actually, no.
So, think about when you graduated university. Did you have a job right
Mhm.
away?
No.
So, how did you get your teaching job that you have today?
Mm, my friend called me because she got the job first, and then the school need another more English teacher, so she gave me a call and asked me to the school to take some exams, and then I got my job.
Okay. Um, yeah. So, it's not always the case that you have a friend that knows someone.
Mm, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so a lot of other people have to go to these job fairs. These fairs
Mhm,
where you could find employers, where you could
mhm.
find other companies so you can get a new job.
Yeah.
So let's discuss a general topic. How's the weather?
It's rainy and cold these days.
Really? Yeah, it's cold over here too. We still have snow on the ground.
No, just rainy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we have snow on the ground and it's pretty cold over here. Um, Now number three, discuss occupations with your teacher. So, if you weren't going to be a teacher, what would you become?
Uh-huh. Sorry.
So, instead of being a teacher, what would you be?
Mm, maybe maybe I would be uh, a cook.
Oh, a cook, yeah.
Yeah.
And why would you be a cook?
I love cooking. I think it's very interesting, and I hope everyone around me can eat very delicious and healthy food.
So, you would basically be a cook that would make a lot of healthy foods?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. Um, I also want to be a teacher, but if I weren't going to be a teacher, I would maybe consider being maybe a nutritionist. Um,
Mhm.
it's like someone that works in the doctor's office that gives you advice on how to eat healthy.
In fact, you are a teacher now,
Yeah, right.
so your dream come true.
Yeah, but I have to get a real job. um, okay, and then number four, um, is body language important, and what should it be like during a conversation?
Yes, I think body language is very important, and I think the most the most important thing during a conversation is eye contact.
Yes, eye
I
contact.
also
Go ahead.
I always tell my students that you should uh, you should look at someone you talk to.
Yeah, making sure
Hmm.
that you have eye contact is very important, and especially when you're trying to get a job. Um,
Yeah.
and now, what should it be like during a conversation? Your body language. What about your arms and legs and feet? Where she put them all?
I think your arms should should be put uh, just 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 around your legs, and you should stand maybe still.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, you should stand like maybe like a foot apart. Yep. Just make sure your hands and feet are at your sides. Make sure you're not talking with your like hand in front of your mouth. Like you can't be like, "Hi, my name is Matt and I work for this company." You can't do that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think so.
Um yeah, so body language is pretty important. You have to make sure that you always have a good first impression with your employer. Do you know what a first impression is?
Oh, yeah, you should give a very good first impression.
Yep. So you want to have this good appearance at the first time that you meet them.
Yes.
Um, Super important. Um, yeah. So how did your friends get this teaching job? Did they all just know someone to get in?
My friend,
Like all your friends at your job, your coworkers?
uh, in China, we will have exams to get a teaching job. The advertisements will be found on the internet, and you can get the uh, you can get the job by passing the exam, and then you will passing another you have to pass another exam face to face to some judge. No, 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 not judge. Maybe get maybe judge.
Okay. And they basically evaluate your performance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, nice. Okay. Well, that was the last question for our lesson, so I hope you enjoyed it. And uh, I hope you learned some more about networking. And
Mm-hmm.
I'll send you the survey, and I'll see you tomorrow. All right.
Okay.
Bye.